This video provides an introduction to the APA editorial style. APA stands for American Psychological Association. We will also cover the purpose of using APA editorial style, the elements included in an APA style paper, and resources and services available for APA style here at Rasmussen. APA 7th edition is the editorial style adopted by Rasmussen. It was selected because it is the editorial style most commonly used by professionals in the social and behavioral sciences. While you may have previous experience using another style, such as MLA or Chicago, as an instructor here at Rasmussen, you'll want to ensure you use APA as you work within your courses and with your students. You'll find that though APA may be slightly different from a previous style you may have used, the overall intent and purpose is the same: clear and consistent presentation of written material through the formatting of documents and the citation of sources. It is recommended that you familiarize yourself with Rasmussen's librarian-created APA guide as your primary source for APA information. We also ask that this is the source of APA information that you suggest to your students. Let's launch into a closer look at APA formatting. General guidelines include using one of 6 APA-approved fonts, including Calibri 11-point, Arial 11-point, Lucidus Sans Unicode 10-point, Times New Roman 12-point, Georgia 11-point, and Computer Modern 10-point. Note that Calibri is the default font in Microsoft Word. Therefore, Rasmussen has a sample paper and APA paper template, and both use Calibri 11-point font. It is likely that most student submissions will be in Calibri 11-point font. However, all of the 6 approved fonts mentioned above in the slide should be accepted for student papers. Also, papers should be double-spaced with 1-inch margins. There should be page numbers in the upper right corner. There should be 1 space at the end of a sentence. Major headings should be centered and in bold, and minor headings should be left aligned. Another component of proper APA formatting is the inclusion of a title page. Rasmussen requires that a title page, sometimes called a cover page, be used for all written papers and projects. The basic title page includes the following elements. A page number should appear at the top right. A little ways underneath that, the title of the paper should appear centered and in bold, followed by the student's name, the name of the college or university, the course number and name, the instructor's name, and the assignment due date. Note for CBE papers, the date submitted can be used. To the right is a sample of a title page. You can see the various elements we referred to earlier, such as the placement of the title on the paper, the author's name, course number and name, and so on. Clearly, with formatting and title pages, there's an awful lot for students to remember and practice. So students are provided with a sample APA paper and template in the toolkit area of the APA guide. Note that the APA guide is integrated into course resources areas, but we recommend sharing these 2 resources with your students in an announcement at the start of each term. Additional resources and information about formatting can be found in the Setting Up Your Paper area of the APA guide. Having discussed the general formatting of papers, let's take a closer look at the citation of sources. The citation of sources includes both in-text or parenthetical citations within the body of the document, as well as the references included in the references page. It's helpful to remind students that the in-text citation and the reference go hand in hand, and the in-text citation acts like a flag within the paper to direct readers towards the references page for the full source information. A standard in-text citation for a paraphrase is, in parentheses, the author's last name, a comma, and the date of publication. For a direct quotation, the page or paragraph number is added. So this would be, again in parentheses, the author's last name, a comma, the date of publication, and the page or paragraph number. As students become more comfortable with APA, you may find them varying their in-text citations a bit, which is recommended. For example, sometimes a student may lead into a quotation with a sentence like, in his survey, Miller, 2006, found that some writers like the sound of graphite turning ideas into reality, page number 72, when writing in pencil. Notice that the author's name, along with the date of publication, are still provided and will always appear together, whereas the page number appears at the end of the quotation. For examples and more information about in-text citations, visit the in-text citations subpage of the APA Guide. Having covered in-text citations, let's discuss references. The format for a reference always follows this pattern: author, date in parentheses, title, and source information. Although the author, date, and title may seem fairly self-explanatory, it's helpful to know that authors aren't only human or individual names. Rather, organizations and associations can also be provided as authors if no individual authors are provided. For example, the Mayo Clinic staff is a commonly cited group author, as are governmental agencies such as the Department of Health and Human Services. From there, date and title are typically fairly easy to determine. However, source information might be a little less familiar. Source information is the location where others can find the source. For example, a publisher for a book, a URL for a website, or a permanent link for an article found in a library database. So let's put it all together. Here is an example of a reference for a journal article. We can see that the reference starts with the author's names. Each of the author's names should be listed in the following order: last name, a comma, and their first initial, and the middle initial should be included if it is provided. After the author comes the date of publication in parentheses. Next, the title appears. Notice that sentence style capitalization is used with only the first letter of the first word and the first letter of the subtitle capitalized. Additionally, any proper nouns should also be capitalized. After the title, you'll see the title of the journal in italics, the volume in italics, and the issue in parentheses. The page numbers should also be provided. Lastly, the retrieval information is provided. Typically, the date of retrieval is not necessary unless the source is one that updates frequently, like a blog. Finally, the DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, if available, should be provided. If a DOI is not available and the article was found in a library database, provide the article's permanent link. On the other hand, if the article was found online and through a search engine and there is no DOI, provide the URL. To learn more about references for specific source types and to review reference examples, refer to the References subpage on the APA Guide. All reference entries should be compiled on the References page. The References page should be on its own page at the end of the document. This references list should have a similar format to the rest of the document, double-spaced with an APA-approved font, and the word references should be centered and in bold at the top of the page. The entries should be arranged alphabetically by the first word in the entry. Usually this is the author's last name. A hanging indent for the reference should be used, which means lines subsequent to the first line should be indented a ½ inch. Curious to know what a reference list should look like? A sample reference list can be found in the APA sample paper located in the APA toolkit on the APA Guide. As there are so many steps and details to follow with references, the library team recommends that students use one of two online citation management tools called Noodle Tools and APA Academic Writer to help them build reference pages. Noodle Tools and APA Academic Writer are provided to students free of charge through their tuition dollars and allow students to input information about each of their sources one by one. They simplify the process for students by prompting them for pieces of information about the source, and assuming they have input everything correctly, it will arrange and properly format the references on the References page. Review more information about these resources in the Citation Tools Guide. It is also worth noting that both the APA Guide, Noodle Tools, and the APA Academic Writer provide students with assistance for writing annotated bibliographies, which are assigned in many Rasmussen courses. APA can be quite challenging for new students and is sometimes difficult to apply due to new source types, missing information, or unique formatting requirements. However, both students and faculty can seek APA support using the library chat service on the library's homepage or in the library's guides. It is also recommended that new students attend the APA Basics webinar, which is presented by members of Rasmussen's library team. Students can click on Webinar Series, Webinar Calendar, and select an appropriate webinar. Alternatively, if they're unable to attend live, they can go to Welcome and Webinar Recordings and access the APA 7th edition Basics webinar there. Additionally, students can schedule an appointment with an APA tutor. APA tutors are specially trained in APA instruction. Also, students can submit their papers to the Writing Lab for APA review from a professional tutor. Lastly, both faculty and students with APA questions will benefit from searching within the Answers database for their frequently asked questions about APA. Locate your question and find your response. Clearly, APA has many requirements and demands close attention to detail. So when grading student work, it is important to recognize students' attempts and to encourage them to continue striving for greater understanding and effective practice of APA style. For example, with a new student, if there is evidence of a citation attempt, even if done incorrectly or unevenly, this is not considered academic misconduct. Rather, the student can be referred to the APA resources previously mentioned in this video and found in the APA Guide for assistance. For help on this topic and more, check out the Answers database where you can access our frequently asked questions or chat with a Rasmussen librarian.